The quantum communications array at the Atacama Large Interferometer Observatory hummed with an unusual frequency. Dr. Elena Rodriguez leaned closer to the holographic display, her dark eyes narrowing as she analyzed the incoming data stream. Something was different about these signals, not random noise, not natural phenomenon, but something deliberately complex. Carlos, she called to her research partner, run a pattern recognition scan on these quantum wave signatures. They're deliberate. Carlos Martinez, a veteran signal analyst with weathered hands and sharp intuition, moved quickly. His fingers danced across the quantum interface, layers of advanced algorithms peeling back the signal's intricate structure. "These aren't random," he muttered. "Someone, or something, is trying to communicate." The observatory, nestled high in the Chilean mountains, represented humanity's most advanced listening post. Funded by a consortium of global scientific institutions, it was designed to capture the faintest whispers from the cosmic depths. But today, those whispers were becoming a conversation. Thousands of kilometers away, in the underground command center of the United Terrestrial Defense Command, Colonel Marcus Kimura reviewed the incoming transmission logs. His cybernetic interface flickered with real-time data streams, processing information faster than any human brain could comprehend. The signals had a pattern, complex, mathematical, yet with an underlying rhythm that suggested intelligence. Not just intelligence, but a form of communication that seemed to be testing, probing, exploring. "Encrypt and transmit to the Interstellar Research Council," Kimura instructed the AI system. "Priority classification. Potential first contact protocol." Within hours, the world's top scientific minds converged, virtually and physically, to decode the mysterious transmission. Dr. Aisha Okonkwo, a quantum communications specialist from the African Space Research Center, presented her initial findings. "These signals," she explained to the assembled experts, "appear to be a form of mathematical handshake. It's as if an advanced civilization is sending out a complex mathematical sequence, waiting to see if we can recognize and respond to its underlying structure." The implications were staggering. This wasn't just a random radio wave or a cosmic anomaly. This was deliberate communication. Meanwhile, in orbit around Earth, a network of stealth satellites, part of humanity's quiet defensive infrastructure, began tracking subtle gravitational anomalies near the solar system's outer boundaries. Something was approaching, something massive enough to bend space-time itself. Dr. Rodriguez's team continued their analysis. Each layer of the signal revealed more complexity. Mathematical sequences nested within quantum wave patterns, suggesting a level of technological sophistication far beyond current human capabilities. "It's like they're giving us a puzzle," Carlos observed, "waiting to see if we can solve it." Colonel Kimura understood the deeper significance. This wasn't just a scientific discovery, it was a potential first step in humanity's introduction to a larger, more complex galactic community. And humanity would need to be prepared for anything. As global leaders were quietly briefed and military strategists began contingency planning, the quantum signals continued their intricate dance. A cosmic invitation, or a complex test, waiting for humanity's response. Little did they know, the whispers from beyond were about to become a roar that would reshape humanity's understanding of its place in the universe. The global scientific community worked in unprecedented coordination. Research stations from Antarctica to the orbital laboratories began cross-referencing the mysterious signals, each discovery adding another piece to the complex puzzle. At the United Nations Interstellar Research Council, Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood before a holographic display that mapped the subtle gravitational anomalies detected near the solar system's edge. Her presentation was met with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. "These aren't natural phenomena," she explained, her voice steady. "Whatever is approaching is using technology that manipulates space-time in ways we've only theorized about. The gravitational signatures suggest a civilization capable of technologies centuries beyond our current understanding." General Diana Chin, head of the Terrestrial Defense Command, leaned forward. Her cybernetic eye, a testament to humanity's own technological advancements, scanned the data with inhuman precision. "Potential threat assessment?" she asked. Dr. Aisha Okonkwo interjected, her holographic projection showing complex mathematical models. It's not just about military capability. These signals suggest a communication protocol that's simultaneously an invitation and a test. They're evaluating our technological and cognitive capabilities. In the Deep Space Research Facility on Europa, Dr. Carlos Martinez led a team working on decoding the quantum communication patterns. Their makeshift lab, nestled beneath the moon's icy surface, buzzed with nervous energy. It's like a complex mathematical language, Carlos explained to his team. Each transmission is structured with nested layers of information. They're not just sending a message, they're probing our ability to understand complex communication. Simultaneously, humanity's hidden defensive infrastructure began to subtly mobilize. Stealth satellites repositioned, orbital defense platforms ran silent diagnostics, and quantum communication networks expanded their monitoring capabilities. Colonel Marcus Kimura oversaw the preparations from the underground command center. His team developed multiple response scenarios, from diplomatic engagement to full defensive posture. The key was flexibility, understanding that first contact could take multiple forms. "We can't approach this as a potential threat," Kimura told his senior staff. "But we also can't be naive. Every communication is a potential probe, every signal a possible strategic assessment." The global response was nuanced. While military and scientific communities prepared, political leaders worked to maintain public calm. Carefully worded statements suggested ongoing research without revealing the full complexity of the situation. Deep within the Atacama Observatory, Dr. Rodriguez made a breakthrough. The quantum signals weren't just communication, they were a type of technological handshake, a method of gauging technological sophistication. "They're testing us," she realized. "Not just our ability to receive, but our capacity to understand and respond." Her team began constructing a response, a mathematical sequence that would demonstrate humanity's cognitive capabilities, technological understanding, and peaceful intentions. As weeks passed, the gravitational anomalies grew more pronounced. Whatever was approaching was massive, technologically advanced, and seemingly deliberate in its approach. The gathering storm of first contact was approaching. Humanity stood at the precipice of its greatest unknown, a moment that would define its place in the cosmic community. The first physical evidence of the approaching entities came unexpectedly. Not from deep space monitoring stations, but from an automated research probe near the asteroid belt. Dr. Elena Rodriguez received the transmission during a late-night session at the Atacama Observatory, her holographic displays suddenly flickering with unprecedented data. "This can't be right," she muttered, running multiple verification protocols. The probe had captured fragments of a massive energy signature, not hostile, but complex. More intriguingly, the signature carried multiple layered communication protocols that suggested not one, but potentially two different civilizations in proximity to each other. Colonel Marcus Kimura was briefed immediately. The underground command center hummed with controlled intensity as holographic displays mapped the incoming data. "We're looking at something beyond a simple approach," he told General Dianachin. "These signatures suggest a complex interstellar dynamic." Dr. Aisha Okonkwo's quantum communication team made a breakthrough that would change everything. Hidden within the complex signal was a mathematical sequence that appeared to be a diplomatic communication protocol. More critically, it suggested an ongoing conflict between two advanced civilizations, with humanity's solar system caught unexpectedly in the middle. "They're not just approaching," Okonkwo explained during an emergency global council meeting. "They're potentially seeking a strategic position. Our solar system isn't just a destination, it's potentially a critical strategic point." The research team discovered something even more remarkable. One of the approaching civilizations showed signs of being in conflict with another, and their communication protocols suggested they were actively seeking potential allies or neutral zones. Carlos Martinez, working with a specialized xenolinguistics team, began decoding the deeper layers of communication. "It's like they're leaving breadcrumbs," he told his colleagues. "Deliberately complex communication that requires collaborative decoding." Humanity's response would be crucial. The global scientific and military communities understood that their approach could determine whether they became collateral damage or a potential strategic partner. At the United Nations Interstellar Research Council, a bold strategy emerged. Instead of pure defensive preparation, they would attempt a measured, intelligent response. Dr. Rodriguez and her team constructed a complex mathematical and linguistic response, one that demonstrated technological sophistication, peaceful intentions, and strategic intelligence. "We need to show we're not just primitive," she argued. "We need to show we're a potential ally, not just a potential target." The response was crafted with extraordinary care. Mathematical sequences that demonstrated advanced understanding of quantum mechanics, communication protocols that showed cognitive flexibility, and subtle indicators of technological capability. General Diana Chin oversaw the military preparations. Humanity's hidden defensive infrastructure, quantum-shielded satellites, advanced stealth technologies, and strategically positioned defensive platforms were brought to silent readiness. "We prepare for the worst," Chen told her senior staff, while hoping for a diplomatic opportunity. As the approaching entities drew closer, the solar system transformed. Research stations on Mars, the Moon, and the asteroid belt began intensive monitoring. Every scientific and military resource was subtly repositioned, creating a complex defensive network that remained outwardly passive. The gathering storm was no longer just an approach. It was becoming a potential moment of cosmic negotiation. Humanity waited, prepared, and hoped. The first direct encounter came without warning. A massive energy disturbance rippled through the solar system's outer boundaries, causing quantum communication networks to momentarily destabilize. Dr. Elena Rodriguez watched in real time as the holographic displays at the Atacama Observatory erupted with unprecedented activity. Multiple spatial anomalies detected, the quantum AI system announced, its synthesized voice betraying a hint of uncertainty. Two distinct energy signatures emerged, one aggressive and angular, the other more fluid and adaptive. The mathematical models Dr. Aisha Okonkwo had developed began to take on terrifying clarity. This was no longer a potential encounter. This was the beginning of a conflict that would use humanity's solar system as its battleground. Colonel Marcus Kimura's underground command center transformed into a neural network of human and artificial intelligence. Quantum-encrypted communication channels lit up across global defense networks, each monitoring station reporting increasingly complex readings. "They're using our solar system as a strategic corridor," General Diana Chen observed, her cybernetic eye analyzing multiple dimensional projections. "We're not just observers. We're potentially the contested territory." The first physical manifestation of the conflict occurred near Jupiter's orbital region. Advanced sensors detected massive energy discharges that momentarily warped spacetime itself. Automated research probes captured fragmented data, weapon signatures that defied current human understanding of physics. Carlos Martinez and his xenolinguistics team worked frantically to decode the communication patterns embedded within the weapon exchanges. What they discovered was both terrifying and fascinating. These weren't just military engagements, but complex negotiations conducted through technological violence. "They're communicating through conflict," Martinez explained to the Research Council. "Each weapon discharge, each strategic movement is part of a larger linguistic exchange we're barely beginning to understand." Humanity's hidden defensive infrastructure began to activate. Stealth satellites repositioned with mathematical precision, quantum-shielded defensive platforms initialized silent protocols. The solar system itself became a complex chessboard, with humanity playing a role far more nuanced than simple bystander. Dr. Rodriguez's team made a critical discovery. The mathematical response they had crafted weeks earlier wasn't just a communication attempt, it was now acting as a complex defensive algorithm. The signals they had sent were creating subtle interference patterns that disrupted the invading entity's communication networks. "We're not just defending," she told Colonel Kimura. "We're actively participating in their conflict without direct confrontation." The conflict escalated. Energy discharges near Mars caused massive gravitational disturbances. Research stations on Phobos and Deimos went dark, their quantum communication arrays overwhelmed by the intense spatial warfare. General Chen made a bold decision. "Activate Project Firewall," she commanded, initiating a series of defensive protocols that would use humanity's most advanced technological capabilities. Quantum adaptive shield generators came online across human installations. These weren't traditional defensive systems, but adaptive networks that could rapidly reconfigure based on incoming energy signatures. Each attack became a learning opportunity, each defensive response more sophisticated than the last. The entities fighting in humanity's solar system began to realize they were no longer dealing with a passive environment. Something was interfering with their conflict, something intelligent and adaptive. As the battle intensified, humanity found itself in an impossible position, neither aggressor nor simple victim, but a complex variable in an interstellar conflict that threatened to consume everything in its path. The crucible was heating up, and humanity's true test was just beginning. The solar system had become a battlefield of incomprehensible complexity. What began as an alien conflict now transformed into a proving ground for humanity's most advanced technological capabilities. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood at the center of a breakthrough that would change everything. "We're not just defending," she told the Emergency Global Council. "We're actively manipulating the conflict's fundamental dynamics." Project Firewall, initially conceived as a defensive network, had evolved into something far more sophisticated. The quantum communication algorithms developed by Dr. Aisha Okonkwo allowed human systems to not just intercept, but subtly redirect the energy signatures of the warring alien civilizations. Colonel Marcus Kimura watched as holographic displays showed increasingly complex interference patterns. The alien weapon exchanges were becoming less precise, their strategic movements subtly disrupted by humanity's adaptive technologies. Carlos Martinez and his xenolinguistics team made a critical breakthrough. The weapon exchanges weren't just physical confrontations, they were a form of complex communication. By understanding this, humanity could now speak the language of conflict without firing a single shot. "They're using weapon discharges as a form of negotiation," Martinez explained. "Each energy pulse carries multiple layers of information. We're learning to communicate in their most fundamental language." General Diana Chin oversaw the most audacious strategy in human military history. Instead of direct confrontation, they would use the solar system itself as a strategic communication tool. Gravitational manipulation systems near the asteroid belt began to create complex interference patterns that disrupted alien navigation and communication. Research stations on Europa, Mars, and the Moon transformed into sophisticated signal manipulation centers. What appeared to be random energy discharges were actually carefully crafted communication attempts, using the entire solar system as a massive quantum communication array. The alien civilizations began to take notice. Their weapon exchanges became less frequent, more cautious. Humanity was no longer a passive environment to be fought over, it had become an active participant in the conflict. Dr. Rodriguez's team discovered something extraordinary. The mathematical response they had initially crafted weeks earlier was now acting as a complex diplomatic algorithm. Each disruption, each interference pattern was a form of negotiation, a way of saying, "We are here. We are intelligent. We are not to be ignored." Quantum adaptive shield generators across human installations began to do more than just defend. They started to actively reshape the energy signatures of incoming attacks, turning destructive forces into complex communication attempts. "We're speaking their language," Dr. Okonkwo realized. Not with words, but with the fundamental physics of conflict and communication. The solar system became a massive, living communication device. Gravitational anomalies, energy discharges, and quantum interference patterns told a story more complex than any traditional diplomatic exchange. General Chin made a bold decision. "We're no longer just defending," she told her command staff. "We're negotiating." As the conflict entered its most critical phase, humanity found itself in a position no one could have predicted. Not as victims, not as bystanders, but as active participants in a cosmic conversation that would redefine humanity's place in the universe. The tide was turning, and the universe was about to listen. The Galactic Conclave chamber fell silent as Ambassador Elena Rodriguez stepped forward. Her measured steps echoed through the vast hall filled with representatives from dozens of alien civilizations. The holographic displays behind her showed the recent conflict, a testament to humanity's unexpected emergence as a formidable galactic power. "We did not seek this conflict," Elena began, her voice calm but resolute. "But we will not apologize for defending ourselves." The Zarkan delegate, a crystalline being whose fractal-like body shifted with emotional currents, pulsed with a mix of anger and begrudging respect. High Counselor Kretax, representing the Volari Unified Worlds, leaned forward. His four eyes studied Elena with an intensity that would have intimidated lesser diplomats. "Your species appeared from nowhere," Kretax stated, his translation matrix rendering his complex language into crisp English. Decades of galactic observation suggested humans were a primitive species, confined to a single solar system. Yet you decimated two of the most advanced fleets in known space. Elena allowed herself a slight smile. The diplomatic dance had begun. Behind the scenes, Earth's technological renaissance was in full swing. Dr. Arya Chin, lead researcher at the Interstellar Development Institute, reviewed the latest breakthrough reports. The conflict had accelerated human technological progress by centuries. Reverse-engineered alien propulsion systems, adaptive shield technologies, and quantum communication networks were just the beginning. On Mars, the first truly integrated human-alien research facility was taking shape. The Harmony Project, as it was called, brought together the brightest minds from multiple civilizations. What had started as a defensive alliance was transforming into something more, a collaborative exploration of the universe's deepest mysteries. Admiral Marcus Bennett, now head of the United Earth Defense Force, reviewed strategic projections. The recent conflict had exposed vulnerabilities in established galactic power structures. Humanity's unexpected capabilities had created a power vacuum that would take decades to stabilize. "We're not conquerors," Bennett muttered to himself, reviewing the diplomatic protocols. "But we won't be pushed around again." The Galactic Conclave continued, with Elena Rodriguez presenting humanity's vision. It wasn't about dominance, but cooperation. Open scientific exchange, mutual defense agreements, and a commitment to peaceful exploration. The aliens listened, some skeptically, others with growing interest. In the observation lounge, representatives from less advanced civilizations watched the proceedings with a mixture of hope and trepidation. Humanity had become the wild card, the unpredictable species that had rewritten the rules of galactic engagement. Dr. Kareem Hassan, a xenoanthropologist, explained to a young Trell researcher, "Humans have always been adaptable. Our history is defined by overcoming seemingly insurmountable challenges. What the other civilizations saw as weakness, our diversity, our constant internal conflicts, was actually our greatest strength." The Trell, a silicon-based life form with a hierarchical society, listened intently. The concept was revolutionary to their structured way of thinking. Back in the conclave, the negotiations reached a critical point. Elena proposed a radical framework, a multi-species scientific and exploration initiative. Not a military alliance, but a collaborative effort to understand the universe's most profound mysteries. "We've spent too long fighting," she declared. "Now we explore." The holographic displays shifted, showing potential joint research projects. Faster-than-light communication networks. Unified xenobiological databases. Collaborative deep space exploration missions. High Counselor Kretax's fractal body pulsed with a color humans would interpret as contemplative blue. "Unprecedented," he murmured. As the session concluded, humanity had achieved something more significant than a military victory. They had fundamentally altered the galactic perspective, not through overwhelming force, but through vision, adaptability, and an unwavering belief in collective potential.